So, good evening, hello, and welcome in that order to all of you. Welcome tonight to the round number 10 of the quiz. Can you believe it's 10 weeks since we started this whole thing? Abby in London and me in Norwich. Hope we've all enjoyed the good weather. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight, the loyal bunch that you are, particularly those in the Middle East. So we seem to have a good Middle East contingent tonight as well. And not surprised if some of you are missing tonight because of the good weather. And we'll see how how the numbers develop. The announcements in the UK today that virtually the whole country is getting going again on the 4th of July. Hopefully that'll be the start of some sort of normality. Anyway, so welcome to tonight, and Abby's on the comments, so please don't post any of the answers in the comments, as you normally don't. And Abby's in a specially selected part of London to make sure there's nothing in the background. So, welcome, as I say, thank you to Wings TV for the iconic aircraft. Thank you to Wings TV for the iconic aircraft. So you probably guessed by now that this week's iconic aircraft, we tend to flip from military to civil to military. So here's the Spitfire. Can you get a iconic aircraft from the Spitfire? So as usual, in the middle part of this quiz, there will be 5. What's this? Can't hear me. Music a bit loud. I'm having to keep the volume down because of the feedback with Abby on Zoom, so hopefully that's a bit better now. Thank you. So, is that better? Strength 5. Oh, thank you. I know you don't like the music that much. Only joking. Right, so on to the credits. So, those of you, I think everyone's been to this quiz before, so we've got 3 rounds in total. 2 rounds of variety questions. Round 1, we'll do the round 1 answers, then we'll do the iconic aircraft round, then we'll do 20 more questions, and that will be the end of the quiz. And as you probably know by now, that on YouTube you can catch up with all the previous quizzes apart from quiz 1 and 2. And we will perhaps towards the end, if we get time, just chat about how we move the quiz forward, bearing in mind that lots of people hopefully going back to work and getting back to normal. So that's the James. I don't know if James is on tonight. James continues to do us proud with his photographs, and we allow him to add his points back for any of the photographs that we use. So, and we have a total of 53 points on offer tonight. So 24 from the first round, 7 from the second round, and 22 from the third round. And those of you who know my maths, you can check that later, but I think that makes 53. So we'll get on with the quiz. So 20 questions for round 1. So round 1, question 1. What is the name of the Russian aerobatic display team? The name of the Russian aerobatic display team. And you get a bonus if you know the aircraft type.
Going through the display teams.
Yeah, we're going through the world's display teams. So there's a few of those we can go through. Goldsby. Oh, Goldsby, is that travelling man? That's somewhere up in Scotland, I guess. Are they up in the islands? So, Kane, are you the same Kane from Abu Dhabi as well as in Scotland? Then I'm interested in how that works.
He's in Abu Dhabi, but he's from Scotland, from what I get.
Ah. Well spotted. So, round 1, question 1. You've got that one by now, hopefully. If you haven't, then maybe you'll never get it. I've got the answers, so it's always much easier when you have the answers. Round 1, question 2. Can you name this airline? Apologies to James for having made his photograph, edited it. Oh, thanks, Kane. So, name the airline. Don't think you get a bonus point if you know the aircraft type, because it's, I think, pretty obvious by now. I was always right, Kane. I've learned that sometimes to my cost, sometimes to my favour, but mostly to my cost. That's round 1, question 2. Can you hear Abby tonight, by the way? We've allowed her to speak. So having had the feedback issues we had last week with having Zoom live at the same time, we've now allowed Abby to speak, so she can speak. Can you speak, Abby?
I can speak, apparently. Planes might be louder than me, but...
So you can ask Abby questions and then she can answer them maybe. Right, round 1, question 3. When applied to airlines, what does the term CASM mean? Those of you who've been doing the last couple of quizzes, we've been doing airline terms. So this is if you were reading an airline report, probably a financial report, what would the term CASM mean? Abby's quite quiet. That's probably because I've got to keep my volume down, Brandon, because otherwise we get the dreaded feedback. There's a feedback loop between Zoom and however this works. We didn't have it when we didn't have Zoom. So we could just shut Abby off completely, but actually that would be unfair. So, because she's, of course, the main event of the quiz. I'm just the person who asked the questions. In fact, I think on Twitter that was confirmed by somebody on Twitter this week as well. So round 1, question 3. Round 1, question 4. Can you name this aircraft type? I've left the registration in. I don't know who's on tonight, who's a spotter, but that might give you a clue. Can you name this aircraft type? Don't think you get a bonus for the airline, because I think the airline's quite obvious, probably. But we'll go with the aircraft type. So beautiful weather most places. I don't think the weather's been that good in Scotland today. I spoke to somebody up north earlier and they said they had the heating on. So good old UK, split country, heating in the north and fainting with heat in the south. I think UK was as hot as Spain today, is that right, Peter? Don't know how hot it was where you are. My brother Peter, who's on here, headboard cockpit wits. Probably not as hot as Abu Dhabi or Bahrain. Round 1, question 5. So some of you might have seen in the news last week or week before, this new Sikorsky-Boeing helicopter hit 205 miles an hour on its way to its top speed. It's nowhere near its top speed yet. Do you know what it's called? And do you know how many main rotor blades are? 30 degrees. Okay, we're not quite there yet, Peter, but we're climbing towards 30 at the end of the week. So this helicopter hit the news this week, or last week, or certainly recently. Sikorsky-Boeing joint venture, 205 miles an hour, nowhere near its top speed. Glorious weather in Windsor. It's always glorious in Windsor, Josh, isn't it? I think. Queen's Country. I think the Queen's there at the moment. I'm not sure. Round 1, question 6. Can you name this airline livery? Very clever livery, actually, if you've ever seen the story of how they designed this. I'm sure some marketing agency was paid quite a lot of money to come up with this, but it's quite clever. Don't get a bonus point for knowing that, but it's quite clever. So name the airline livery. Not so many, don't know how many military people are on tonight, don't know if Joseph's here, but we've gone a bit civil tonight. So if we get any complaints about too civil, we might have to go mid-40s, yeah. That's stay inside air conditioning weather, isn't it? Round 1, question 7. In the inevitable Top Gun question. In the film Top Gun, what was Maverick's real screen name? What was his real screen name? Apparently it wasn't his original real screen name. It was changed. No, there's loads of Top Gun questions to come yet. Some of them don't have a bit tenuous. It's an aviation link. But we could do Top Gun questions all the way through to the release of Top Gun 2. Whenever that is. Yeah, I think it's been put back to later in the year, but I don't know, haven't heard recently. Round 1, question 8. Besides the Vulcan, what were the 2 other V bombers? What were the other 2 V bombers? I was born near Windsor, does that make a difference? Yeah, Peter and I, we were both, I think you were born in Berkshire, Peter, weren't you as well? We were just across the border, I'm not quite sure. But no, I was Berkshire, so Royal County, the best, of course. Start a question of aviation discussion around where's the best place in the country. We can't hear Abby, you have to speak up, Abby. If I put the microphone up, I think we'll get some feedback, that's the problem, so I'll just might try it a couple of notches, but if you get feedback, then you'll tell me, no doubt.
And I can just be muted.
Yeah, we could just mute Abby. It'd be easier, wouldn't it, Kane?
I'll do my own little quiz, doing my light deck backgrounds.
Yeah, you were born in Bucks, that's right, I was born in Berkshire. So. Round 1, question 9. That wasn't a quiz question, by the way. On a METAR MET forecast, what does the term BR, Bravo Romeo, mean? METAR MET forecast, what does the term BR mean?
No one wants to hear me tonight, it's fine.
You can't even hear Abby now.
Let's speak up. I'll be shouting it down in a minute.
I'll risk putting the microphone up a bit, but you might get echo.
Yeah,
Echo. Is that okay?
You get a bit of echo in your voice. This makes you sound more...
That's better. Right. So, METAR MET forecast. Round 1, question 10, halfway through round 1. Which famous Mosquito designer started out as a draftsman and automotive engineer? Bit of echo here.
It's not bad.
Which famous Mosquito designer, the aircraft that is, started out as a draftsman and automotive engineer? I think we had some feedback that most of these questions we have are 20th century questions. I think there's quite a smattering of 21st century questions, but
yeah, I was surprised by that. But, I mean, we started off with a lot of 20th century. 20th century, am I right?
we always try and get the balance right. Sometimes we don't get it right. I'll take the blame.
Nice.
Although I'm always right.
He's watching. Thank you.
Even when I'm wrong.
Always wrong.
So round 1, question 10, halfway through. Hopefully you're doing well so far. Round 1, question 11. What is the call sign of the US President's helicopter? The call sign of the US President's helicopter. The official call sign. Maybe it has some other call signs, but the official one. So that's round 1, question 11. Round 1, question 12. Name this aircraft type. Should be relatively straightforward for you fans out there. We could do a name the airline, but that would be a bit obvious maybe.
That's convenient. Yeah, it's a bit obvious, do you not think?
Of course, Abby's, by the wonders of technology, Abby is live at this end, so she's in sync at my end, but she's watching what you're watching, which is about 18 seconds delayed.
So everything I do now goes through time.
Yeah, so everything that happens at this end takes 18 seconds to get to wherever you are, roughly. Round 1, question 13. Which NASA mission carried the first humans to land on the moon? And bonus should be a relatively straightforward one. What year was it? Could get a bonus point. One of Abby's unofficial bonus points if you know the date, but we'll just go with the year and the NASA mission.
You can't call them my bonus points if you're giving them away. That's like a special Simon point.
Oh yeah, okay. But you normally award them. There's official bonus points which are in if they're on the screen, and there's unofficial ones that I think those of you who were on last week, Abby started running an unofficial flight deck quiz in the background. So
Yeah, it got tricky.
round 1, question 14. What is the IATA airport code GIG short for? Golf India Golf. And if you get a bonus if you're sad enough to know the ICAO code. Not sure who's on tonight. Who's been to this airport?
I haven't.
I have, but some time ago. So round one, question 14. Is the music really, really loud? Really, really quiet? Can anyone hear any music?
I can't hear the music, so I can't help you with that.
It's about time we had our dreamy Vangelis piece by now.
I can just hear pure dulcet tones. Okay.
Well, there we are. I can hear something faintly in the background now. Round one, question 15. Can you name the special livery that retired from the Virgin fleet recently? An aircraft with a special livery that retired from the Virgin fleet recently. We believe permanently. We don't think it's coming back. What was that special livery? Some of you, were you there? I was trying to think who was there.
Right. Me or someone else?
No, I'm trying to think who was there to see it fly off. Anyway, that's round one, question 15. Round one, question 16. On a Falcon 9 rocket launch, actually on a number of launches, but we'll just stick with this one now. What is normally the next major event after what's called max Q, the point of maximum dynamic pressure? What normally happens next? Of course, we hope that nothing else abnormal happens, but normally there's a next major event. Any of you have been plugged into any of the recent Elon Musk rocket launches? What's normally, sorry, SpaceX, what's normally the next major event after max Q?
I managed to get my space questions in.
Oh, we don't have, where's, what's his name? Tremor. Tremor's in London now. Tremor's visited, he's visited Norwich, he's back in London now.
Apparently we'll get another queue
Baby Tremor. Any of you watch Alex's quiz Inquisition? He's started off with one lamp, then that lamp meant another lamp, and now both lamps have had a baby lamp. So it's amazing what lockdown does to people.
Do the same with your plane model in the background.
Yeah, good. Round one, question 17. Can you name this aircraft type? I think one of the most strange looking passenger aircraft, but apparently quite comfortable to fly in, but not, I haven't flown in one. Very popular in the States. Any of you who were here last week, there's a link to last week's one of last week's questions. So that's round one, question 17. Round one, question 18. So can you guess this cockpit? I don't know if it was part of Abby's unofficial flight deck quiz last week in the background, but don't think it was. Can you name this cockpit? Leave it on just for a few more seconds for those of you who think that you might guess it. Abby is at home. Abby's at her home, so she's allowed alcohol. Did you know, in a quiz question the other night, in the UK, if you're in a private residence, you can drink alcohol from the age of 5. Did you know that? I didn't know that until Sunday night. Not that I'm saying Abby's anywhere near 5, but just thought you'd like to know that.
That's like an insult and a compliment. Come on.
I'm allowed, I'm far enough away not to be thwacked from a distance. Round one, question 19. So Tommy Sopwith, I'm sure you've all heard of Tommy Sopwith. He employed a car mechanic as his test pilot who went on to co-found a famous aircraft company. What was his name? So Tommy Sopwith, who made his own aircraft, took on a car mechanic, and I think he was one of the earliest test pilots, and he founded a pretty famous aircraft company. I think you'll probably have heard of that. What was his name? Not Tommy Sopwith's name, of course. What was the name of the person who went on to co-found an aircraft company? Abby's drinking that beer that is rumoured not to be in production anymore. Aren't you, Abby?
I've seen the new brand around.
The one that's been rebranded. Round one, question 20. Can you name this aircraft type? So Is that a military aircraft? Is it a civil aircraft? Is it a civil aircraft in military colours or a military aircraft? Don't actually know. Some of you might know, but anyway, what is it? A bit quiet on the comments tonight. Does that mean you're all struggling with the questions? Find them good? So round 1, question 20. So that's the end of round 1. So perhaps you can tot up your scores. Should be out of 24. Post them on the comments just so we can see how you're doing so far. Whether you need a miracle to get through round 2 and 3, or whether actually you're ahead of the game.
I haven't got the answers yet, though. Can't do that.
Thank you, Abby, and I'm on water as well. Well spotted. Here's me thinking we were doing so well. So, okay, round 1 answers, good point. Just on right on cue. So you will get out of 24. So round 1, question 1, they're called the Knights, and they have different variants of the Sukhoi Su-27. Did we have the last? Yeah, last one was question 20, Kane, which was the one that's on the screen. Now, just gone back to it. So, round 1, question 2 was Wizz Air, of course. I'm sure you all knew that. Round 1, question 3, cost per available seat mile. God, we could carry on doing quizzes for years based on the number of airline terms. 63 points of round 1. Round 1, question 4 is a 757-300 series. Not that you would necessarily know that from the photograph. You might be able to tell it from the photograph, but anyway, it's the 300 series. No bonus, but it was Iceland Air. Round 1, question 5 is the Sikorsky-Boeing Defiant, and it has 8 main rotor blades, 4 on top of 4. So if you haven't seen it, it has a pusher prop at the back, and it has 2 sets of rotor blades, 4 on top of 4. Pretty neat looking machine. Probably going to replace the Black Hawk. I think it's upwards of 250, 280 miles an hour top speed, I think. Those of you who are into helicopters that try and be aeroplanes. Round 1, question 6 is Vueling, of course, that famous Spanish airline. A bit about the livery, I believe. So the yellow dot on the tail is the dot that should be on the eye on the Vueling on the fuselage. So if you look on the fuselage, there isn't a dot. Oh, music too loud again.
What, Vueling? There's no dot?
If you look on the fuselage, there's no dot on the eye because the dot has slipped back onto the tail. That's the story, apparently.
Why? Because it's fast. It just goes...
Is that better? Sorry, music too loud again. Music crept up.
I don't believe that.
Oh, well. Round 1, question 7, moving on. Is Pete Mitchell? I think the original screen name wasn't Pete, but it was named after, I think, Pete Pettigrew, who was involved in the filming of the film. Round 1, question 8. The 2 other V bombers were the Handy Page Victor and the Vickers Valiant. So the 3 V bombers, they decided to reward the contract to all 3. So the Avro Vulcan and the 2 other V bombers. Round 1, question 9 is Mist. I believe, I assume it derived from the French for fog or mist, but who knows? Abby might know.
I remember it as British Rail, because you miss the British Rail all the time.
Round 1, question 10. Geoffrey de Havilland is the famous Mosquito designer. Started out as a draftsman and automotive engineer. Like lots of aviation people, started off as car mechanics. Round 1, question 11 is Marine 1. Hopefully you're doing so far, now that you've actually got the answers, rather than not having any answers. Round 1, question 12, Boeing 727. I believe it has the same fuselage section as the 707. I believe that's a fact. No, I don't think that's what it. I don't know what the. Is there a Met term, Abby, for bloody rain? Round 1, question 13. Apollo 11, of course, 1969. July 1969, I think.
Around.
Round 1, question 14. Rio de Janeiro. If you're interested, apparently it's the GI comes from Galileo International, and the ICAO code is SBGL, but I'm not sure how many would know that. I didn't know that. Well, I've got the answers anyway, so. Round 1, question 15. Name the special livery. So it's the Star Wars Millennium Falcon on the Virgin 747 that flew out of Manchester recently to Ciudad Real in Spain, I believe, for long-term storage and or breaking up.
Sad. That was nice of you.
Yeah, round 1, question 16. MECO, main engine cutoff. I think it happens on most launches, but has become probably a lot more popular now with MECO because it's around the time then when the other rocket, the recoverable rocket, starts its descent back into land on those drone ships. Round 1, question 17. The Beech 1900D commuter aircraft, part of Olive and Walter Beech, the company that we talked about last week. Round 1, question 18. The Airbus A400M, of course. Well, I don't know why I say of course, because would you know that? I've got the answers.
Would you have known if you didn't have the answer?
I think I knew it was an Airbus. Round 1, question 19. Harry Hawker. So he started off as a car mechanic, became a test pilot, and then went on to co-found a famous aircraft company, Harry Hawker. And round 1, question 20 is the Dassault Falcon 7X. Falcon is fine. We're amongst friends. But if you want to be official, it's the 7X. So, now I can ask the question again that I asked a bit prematurely. So, how many did you get out of 24 possible official bonus points? Please post your scores just to see where we are so far. Then we're going to do the iconic aircraft. Then we're going to do round 3. And then we'll do round 2 and round 3 answers at the end. So Peter's already said he's got 63 points on round 1, which we're interested in. We need to send the auditors round. Okay, well, 10. Peter, Josh 9, Kane 16, Jed 15, Matthew 11, Callum 7, Andy O'Shea 10, 12. Are they better or worse than a comment? We should keep a. We said we keep a league table, but I'm afraid we haven't. So Connor and Julian 15.
It's out of 24, right? 24?
According to my maths, it's out of 24. Yes. 13. Oh well. Too hard, too difficult, too easy, too many military, too many. Well, there weren't many military. Civil, too many old. We can take the feedback. Well, I'll just give it to Abby. She can take the feedback. Anyway, so if you're ready, we'll go on to round 2, iconic aircraft. So you know what the iconic aircraft? It is the Supermarine Spitfire. So 5 questions with a couple of bonus points thrown in. So question 1, in what year did the original Spitfire fly? Where was the Supermarine factory? What did designer R.J. Mitchell want to call the aircraft? How many marks of the Spitfire were built? And do you know which version of the Spitfire, which mark was produced most? I'm sure you're smart, Josh. It's just much easier for me because I've got the answers. And the 5th one, how many built by the time production finished in 1948? And as a bonus, do you know how many of the original Battle of Britain Spitfires are still flying? So 7 questions up for grabs. There, I'll just leave them up there for a little while. We're not going to give you the answers until the end of round 3, but just leave a few minutes for you to ponder those or to get any top-ups you need. Not that you should really drink at all, of course, in an aviation quiz, Abby. But you are more than 8 hours away from the aircraft, was it?
I'm like months away at the moment.
So that, what it says, I've just noticed at the top, sorry, that's my typo, it says iconic civil aircraft. I'm sure there are civil registered Spitfires, so.
I wouldn't even notice that if you didn't say.
Oh, well, I'm totally transparent. So, leave those questions up just for 5 or 10 seconds more, and then we'll move on to round 3, and we'll do the answers, as I say, to round 2 at the end. So round 3, 20 more variety questions, and hopefully variety, and we'll see how we get on. So a total of 22 up for grabs in round 3. Round 3, question 1, can you name this aircraft type? I thought I'd start you off with a nice gentle one. Abby, of course, was bound to get this, but maybe won't. Because you're in this split universe, your part of you is 18 seconds ahead of the other part. So that's round 3, question 1, name the aircraft type. Oh, we didn't get to question 5, sorry. Was that too fast? So we'll quickly go back to question 5.
Oh, I know what this one is.
How many were built? How many Spitfires were built by the time production finished in 1948? And bonus, how many original Battle of Britain Spitfires were still flying? Sorry, that was a little bit too fast then. Dave Howie, a Cessna, yep. Top marks, bonus point. Welcome, have you been on all the time? You've been sitting quietly in the background?
For Dave?
Yeah. I haven't seen any comments from Dave earlier, have I? Don't know.
Yeah, Dave. Where have you been?
So anyway, sorry, I jumped out of. If you need any more time or reminders of those questions, come back to me before we get to the answers. Round 3, question 1. Round 3, question 2. What was generally the final? So this is in 2019. I haven't actually seen the 2020 Red Arrows season yet. But what was the end of the 2019 brake maneuver? It was named after a twin-boomed fighter bomber. Oh, sorry, Dave.
I think their only season has been the fly past us all the other day.
Yeah, I think they've been signed off for the full season, I think. I just don't think they've done it yet.
How will they do it? That is the question.
Well, that can be next week's question. When will the first full Red Arrows public display be?
It can't be Bournemouth, surely, because no one will be there.
So that was what was generally. I couldn't always vouch for some of the different types of fly pass or displays they had to do, but in the full display, the final 2019 full display brake maneuver was named after a twin-boomed fighter bomber. The brake, what was it called? Round 3, question 3. So this is a bit of one of those bits of useless information you've always wanted to know. Between 1910 and 1960, the most UK aircraft manufacturers were based around this city. Where is this city? What is this city? Quite an interesting fact. Probably, I don't know whether you know that, but anyway, we'll find out. I have the answers. Round 3, question 4. So you get half a point if you get only one of these. What are these 2 business jets? Half a point each.
That's just me.
Yeah, if it was Abby doing the questions, you'd get probably 2 points each. But anyway, so this is half a point each, so 1 point in total. Any of you business jet people out there?
Probably all busy.
Yeah, biz jets are very busy. Round 3, question 5. Name the person. So we started this last week. So name the person. At age 18 in September 1911, he began work as Aliette Verdon Rowe, later Sir Aliette Verdon Rowe's personal assistant and the firm's draftsman. I think he was the only draftsman at A.V. Rowe and Company, based at Brownsfield Mill in Manchester. Who is this person? Quite a famous person, went on to design some quite famous aircraft. Some of you might be related to him. Eric Verdon Rowe is quite in the circuit at the moment. He's written some good books, mostly on actually on cars. If you look at his books, Eric Verdenroe, Evero Publishing. So that's round 3, question 5. Round 3, question 6. Tel Aviv Airport is named after somebody famous in Israel. Who is Tel Aviv Airport named after? Can you hear any music? I'll turn the music right down. Perhaps you're pleased you can't hear the music. Perhaps you know it off by heart by now. Round 3, question 7. Oh. Round 3, question 7. What is this aircraft type? See, I've thrown in some nice easy ones for round 3. Another James Mellon special. I don't think James is on tonight. Maybe he's going to view it afterwards. Maybe he's sitting out sunbathing somewhere. So the aircraft type, round 3, question 7. Round 3, question 8. What were the Royal Air Force Lightning display team known as? So this is the original Lightning. Formation of 9 of these. Was very impressive. Farnborough Air Show, there's some quite good videos if you can bear some of the old Pathé News types of videos. 9 of these roaring around the sky. Oh, you are an aviation type, Peter. Round 3, question 8.
You were born into it, Peter. Sorry, I got a helicopter.
Yeah, I think you flew in an aircraft before me. Round 3, question 9. Which former US President and First Lady is Little Rock, Arkansas Airport named after? You get a bonus point if you've actually been to Little Rock, Arkansas Airport. And there's so many airports in the States that you can... Ah, Josh.
Glad you were alive. Wait, I can't even remember when they stopped.
What, the RAF Lightning display team?
Yeah. Wasn't it Farnborough? It was after the crash, wasn't it?
So no, it's way before that. It's in the 60s. Britannia to Alicante. Oh yes, the Bristol Britannia, the Whispering Giant. Round 3, question 9. Round 3, question 10. Can you name this aircraft type? And you get a bonus if you can name the airline. Clue, I don't think the airline's around anymore. Might get an extra bonus point if you know which airport it's at, but there's not many airports that look like that. Round 3, question 10. Round 3, question 11. Which helicopter and aircraft pioneer is Kiev Airport in Ukraine named after?
That's a Cessna.
Cessna?
Can you hear it?
No. Abby has a fly past.
It's that.
Ah, Dave, yes. So you know who it is then. Which helicopter and aircraft pioneer is Kiev Airport in Ukraine named after? Round 3, question 12. Name this aircraft type. Made it a bit more difficult just by slicing off part of it.
How did you don't see that?
Oh, that was in the days when you could jump seat, Abby. Round 3, question 13. So, Rimini Airport is named after a famous Italian film director. I should know what films he directed, but I could give that as a clue, but I don't actually know. But Abby might be able to tell you.
No. How's that?
You did. Question 12, airport bonus, yes. If you know which airport that is, Andy, I think you should get 2 bonus points probably.
That is a very good guess. Get that.
So you get 1 bonus point from me and you get a bonus point from Abby if you know question 12 airport bonus.
Whoops. I knew we could do it with Iberia, but that wasn't noted.
Round 3, question 14. Can you name this aircraft livery? Airline livery, sorry. Which airline livery is this? I think it might be the same airport that was a few slides ago. Not the one that Andy O'Shea wants a bonus for. Bit obvious, really, this one. Round 3, question 15. Who became the first UK Royal pilot? And bonus, which year? I think we had a question a few weeks ago about how many Royal pilots were there. Who was the first Royal pilot in the UK? Now, who was the first UK Royal pilot? It wasn't recently. Here's a clue. So we're into the final 5 questions. Oh, I'm racing ahead tonight. So round 3. Oh. What's happened to round 3, question 16? We've lost a question. Oh. So in my numbering system, 17 comes before 16. So this is actually question 17, so jump ahead because I will be giving you question 16 next. Sorry, I don't know how that happened in the world of PowerPoint. So what is the term? So number 17 is, what is the term for an aircraft that has 4 or more wings of similar spans? Believe me, there is a term. You think there might not be a term, but there is. So that's round 3, question 17. Round 3, question 16. Who became the first businessman to charter an aeroplane exclusively for business use? Who was the first businessman to charter an aeroplane exclusively for business use? So round 3, question 18, I bet you're confused. So we did actually have 16, 17 and 18. This is like the Morecambe and Wise sketch. All the right notes, not necessarily in the right order. So round 3, question 18, can you name this aircraft type? Not sure how many military people we have tonight, but we have got a few military questions in here. Round 3, question 19. So, according to the news, this aircraft type has become the largest all-electric aircraft to fly. It happened recently. Which aircraft type has recently become the largest all-electric aircraft to fly? I think they generated I think the aircraft normally had about 900 horsepower, and this, I think the electric version had about 750 horsepower. I think that's right.
I was surprised at how big it was.
Yeah. Did a few circuits, I think. It did a few circuits, I think. And then round 3, question 20, last question of the quiz. What is the enclosed tail rotor on a helicopter called? The fully enclosed tail rotor on a helicopter called? Only on particular helicopters. What is the fully enclosed tail rotor on a helicopter called? Not to be confused with helicopters that don't have tail rotors. This is a tail rotor fully enclosed. So anyone want any of the questions again, including if you want to buzz back to the round 2 iconic aircraft questions? I'll just pause there, and if you're okay, we'll go through the round 2 answers and then the round 3 answers. So round 2 will be out of 7 points in total, I believe. So if you're happy to go on, round 2, So, in what year did the original Spitfire fly? 1936. The Supermarine factory was in Southampton, so Woolston in Southampton. Any of you been to Southampton recently? Quite close to the bridge. The slipway is actually a listed slipway now, so listed site. Woolston, Southampton. Of course, it was then produced all over the country, Castle Bromwich and various other places. As shown in the Gazelle, yes, Kane, and also in later helicopters. R.J. Mitchell wanted to call it either the Shrew or the Scarab. Not quite sure it would have been as iconic if it would have been called the Shrew or the Scarab, but who knows. 24 marks of Spitfire were built, and the Mark V was the most produced version. And 20,351 were produced by the time production finished in 1948. And there's only one Spitfire flying, so that flew in the Battle of Britain, and that's the one that's flown by the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight P7350, I think that one. But anyway, that's the only flying original Battle of Britain Spitfire. So that was out of 7 points. Who got all 7? Post in the comments. Abby got all 7 apparently. Do you believe that? Any of you believe that Abby really got all 7 right? And she doesn't have the answers in front of her. So one of the benefits of her being in London and me being up here is that she doesn't actually have the answers in front of her.